Some thoughts about how I approach arm wrestling training in general, and it took me a long time to develop the current way I train. My background before I took up arm wrestling was in Olympic weightlifting, and I think what I learned from Olympic weightlifting was the importance of technique and positional training when it comes to developing strength. So, long and the short, I think the best way to get strong for a technique driven sport is to practice the techniques under load and under increasing load. Um, with that in mind, that's how I settled on, for most people, if you don't have a cable system or a pulley system where you can load up weight stacks using that, resistance bands are an excellent substitute. In fact, in many respects, I think resistance bands are better than a cable system because they have an increasing force curve or increasing tension as you go through the movement, which is very similar to what you get on an arm wrestling table. The only downside of a resistance band as a training tool is it's harder to quantify your process. The only thing you'll really notice is you'll be like, oh, like I'm moving the table back a little bit further now, or I'm doing more reps. If you just start to feel stronger, and you'll only be able to really measure it when you're arm wrestling. But what you can do is you can just see how, always stay in touch with your overall strength by, testing yourself with dumbbells and weights. But resistance bands are great. Now, when I train arm wrestling strength on resistance bands, I'm typically trying to get a tension in the band that will allow me to do more than 10 reps. If I'm on a heavy day, if I'm feeling strong, I'll be aiming for around 10 reps. But if I'm on a day I'm feeling a little bit beaten up, but I'm trying to work technique, I'm trying to get this in pretty much every day, I'll be shooting for 20, even 30 reps. And when you're starting out with arm wrestling, it's really good to shoot for higher rep exercises because it just reduces the chance of you hurting yourself, and you don't want to hurt yourself training. And likewise on the table, you don't want to be going to the table trying to beat everyone. You need to be thinking about putting a force through that you could sustain for 5 minutes on the table and working technique at that force rather than redlining. So bands are great, and another good thing about bands is you can travel with them. So I can travel with bands, and I use like fat grips, and with that and a PVC pipe, and I'm ready. I can do good arm wrestling training pretty much wherever I go. So anyway, those are my thoughts on bands, why I use them, and the rep ranges that I like to use. Hopefully that helps.